You wake up one morning and make a decision that, from the outside, barely registers. No dramatic announcement. No promise to start a new life on Monday. Just a single thought. I'm going to run 5 kilometers every day. Not for a marathon, not for medals, not for likes, just because I can. What you don't realize in that moment is that you've just set a complex biological process in motion, one that will begin reshaping you from the inside out for weeks, months, maybe even years. From the very first second, resistance kicks in. The brain isn't designed for voluntary energy expenditure. Throughout human history, survival favored those who conserved resources. Movement was necessary for hunting, escaping danger, or finding water. Any extra effort carried the risk of exhaustion. As a result, your nervous system is still wired to minimize unnecessary output. When you decide to run every day, you're pushing against an ancient survival script. The brain responds defensively. It produces doubt. It manufactures excuses. It offers reasonable explanations for why today isn't ideal. This isn't a lack of willpower. It's millions of years of evolution doing its job, but imagine you ignore that voice. You lace up your shoes and step outside. The first kilometer feels manageable, almost comfortable. Yet within minutes, your heart rate climbs, your breathing deepens, your body increases cardiac output to deliver oxygen to working muscles. Your lungs expand their ventilation rate. Inside your muscle cells, mitochondria, tiny structures responsible for producing adenosine triphosphate, the body's primary energy currency, begin working harder. Your system shifts into an aerobic state, where energy is generated using oxygen rather than relying on short bursts of anaerobic stress. Moderate aerobic exercise is considered one of the most powerful tools for long-term health. It strengthens the cardiovascular system, lowers blood pressure, improves vascular elasticity, and enhances circulation. Even during that first run, your blood vessels dilate, and nitric oxide production increases, helping reduce vascular resistance and improve blood flow. It's an early step toward lowering the risk of hypertension. After 20 or 30 minutes, you finish the distance. Your body releases endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin into the bloodstream. You may feel lighter, clearer, slightly elevated. It's not magic, it's neurochemistry. Running activates the brain's reward circuitry, reinforcing the link between effort and positive emotional feedback. The next day, soreness sets in. Muscle fibers have experienced microscopic damage. The body responds with a controlled inflammatory process, followed by repair. During recovery, the muscle tissue rebuilds itself stronger and more resilient. This is known as supercompensation. When stress is applied consistently, but not excessively, the body adapts with increasing efficiency. By the end of the first week, subtle changes begin to take shape. The heart becomes more economical. Stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped with each beat, increases. This means fewer beats are required to maintain circulation at rest. Your resting heart rate begins to decline, one of the earliest measurable signs of cardiovascular adaptation. After 2 weeks, changes become more cellular. The number of mitochondria within muscle cells increases. Your body literally builds more energy-producing structures to handle repeated demand. Capillary density improves, forming new microvessels that enhance oxygen and nutrient delivery. Insulin sensitivity rises, allowing cells to regulate blood sugar more effectively and lowering the risk of metabolic dysfunction. By the 1-month mark, metabolic shifts are noticeable. Your body becomes more efficient at using fat as a fuel source. Body composition may begin to change, even if the scale doesn't show dramatic differences. HDL cholesterol levels tend to rise while LDL levels gradually decrease. Chronic low-grade inflammation, linked to numerous diseases from cardiovascular disorders to neurodegenerative conditions, begins to decline. At 3 months, your VO2 max, the maximum rate at which your body can utilize oxygen, improves. This is one of the strongest indicators of endurance capacity and long-term cardiovascular health. Lung efficiency increases. Oxygen diffusion in the alveoli becomes more effective. The heart grows stronger and more resistant to fatigue. A distance that once felt demanding now feels routine. The brain undergoes profound change as well. Regular aerobic activity stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, a protein that supports the growth and survival of neurons. The hippocampus, a region critical for memory and learning, can increase in volume. Cognitive performance improves. Anxiety symptoms often decrease. Mood stabilizes as neurotransmitter balance shifts in response to sustained physical activity. At 6 months, a behavioral transformation takes hold. Neural pathways associated with habit formation strengthen. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive control and decision-making, becomes more engaged. Running no longer requires negotiation. It's no longer a debate. It's something you simply do. The identity shifts. You're not someone trying to change. You're someone who runs. After a year of daily consistency, the changes are deeply embedded. The risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and hypertension decreases significantly. Heart rate variability, an important marker of autonomic nervous system balance, improves. Hormonal regulation stabilizes. Sleep quality deepens. Baseline cortisol levels decline, reducing chronic stress load. But perhaps the most meaningful transformation isn't physiological, it's psychological. Every day, you engage in a deliberate act that requires effort. That repetition builds a new self-concept. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to improve and begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. The neural architecture supporting discipline and self-regulation becomes stronger. And that shift spills into every other area of life. 5 kilometers is roughly half an hour of movement. Yet, within that half hour lies a systemic recalibration of the heart, lungs, blood vessels, muscles, metabolism, and brain. The body responds to repeated stimulus with adaptation. It becomes stronger, more efficient, more resilient. The organism always answers consistent challenge with growth, if given enough time. Real change doesn't happen in the first day, or even the first month. It happens gradually, layer by layer, at the cellular level. And eventually, you realize that 5 kilometers was never just a distance. It was daily proof that you are capable of consistency, a process that reshaped not only your physiology, but your perception of yourself. A quiet decision that became the foundation for a stronger, more stable version of who you are.